Hey everyone, Brian Zane here, back at long last with a new edition of Getting Into the Biz, where I dispense some friendly advice to those with aspirations of getting into professional wrestling. It's been a long time since I've done one of these because over the last year or so I've had a lot of people ask me to talk about certain topics for this segment, but honestly the answers to those were kind of like contextual based or they're really short answers, so I decided for this one I'll just lump a lot of my favorite questions together into a bit of a grab bag episode. Here's a disclaimer for those who may not be familiar with this series. Yes, I'm aware I'm nothing special, but I have spent the last 12 years or so as a wrestler, announcer, manager, or commentator, what have you, so at the very least I have some idea about the rights and wrongs when it comes to navigating your way through the business. You know, I learned a lot from my own personal experiences, my successes, and my failures. Everyone in wrestling has different takes on different subjects, so this video series is not like a be-all end-all. It's not like the one opinion you should be listening to by any means, but if you want to learn more about other things I've talked about in the past, check out the back catalog of Getting Into the Biz videos, which I'll link to in the description. Somebody asked me how to take suggestions in wrestling. I spoke a bit on this in an older video, which I'll link right here in the corner, but I'll elaborate in this video as well. My best advice is to take advice in wrestling the same way you would in anything in life, respectfully. Almost everyone in wrestling has some good advice to give, whether they have more experience than you or not. So if somebody offers you a take on something with your character or something you did in the ring, at the very least, listen respectfully and thank them for the input. Whether or not you want to take that advice to heart, it's up to you, because hey, ultimately, it's your career. On the flip side, suppose you want to give some constructive criticism to a wrestler. Well, first of all, read the room. Wait until after the guy's match is over and everything's calmed down before broaching the subject, otherwise it might be taken the wrong way. Just like if someone gives you advice, when you're offering up an observation of your own, be respectful and polite. Instead of just saying that something needs improvement, offer up a suggestion as to how it can be improved. Remember, if you give respect, you often get it back. Quick caveat though, I am in no way giving fans permission to give unsolicited advice to wrestlers during or after shows. That's just a common courtesy thing. One fan asked me about travel tips, which I think is actually a pretty good suggestion, because when you're taking a booking, chances are you're driving to a different town or sometimes a different state. Well, first things first, no matter where you go, bring your damn phone charger. If you can, it's always good to travel with other wrestlers who are going to be at the show, not only for the sake of camaraderie and to break up the monotony of a long car ride, but also, talk shop and bounce ideas off each other. Also, in a fair and just world, everyone splits the cost of gas. Whether you're traveling alone or in a group, I recommend you pack some food for yourself for at least one meal and some snacks. It's going to be a lot healthier than food you'll get from a drive-thru or convenience store, and also a lot cheaper as well, which is very important since you won't be getting paid very much for the booking. Now most shows, you can leave home and come back in one night, but sometimes there are those overnight deals, and from there it all depends on your situation. You might know somebody in town you can crash for the night. It helps if you're already friends first. Otherwise, you might have to spend the night in a hotel somewhere, and since you're already on a budget, being a rookie wrestler and all, the cheaper the better. Remember what I said earlier about paying for gas and splitting it multiple ways? The same applies for hotel rooms as well. But if you don't have a friend in town and you can't afford a hotel, there's always a rest stop in the back seat. A couple people have asked me how to deal with jitters or stage fright. Look, everyone in wrestling has some degree of nervousness before going through that curtain. I'm certainly not immune to it. If you don't have those feelings, there might be something wrong with you. The key though is to not let it dominate your thinking when the match is happening. More often than not, it vanishes once the bell rings and you forget all about it. A fan asked me, what do you do if the ring breaks? Well, hopefully that will never happen to you. Even though I've seen it happen a couple of times, a rope or a board breaking in the middle of a match is incredibly rare and usually gets fixed very quickly. But if a rope does happen to break on you, hopefully your bumping instinct will kick in and you won't get hurt too badly on the way out to the floor. But in all seriousness, if the ring does break, my advice would be just to keep going. And it's the same thing as if you botch a move in the middle of a match. The worst thing you could do in that case is if you stop what you're doing and act all flustered and try and do it again, because then the illusion's totally broken. But if you're wrestling a match and the ring breaks, just keep on going through it and the fans will get into it. Now, obviously, if a promoter or a referee steps in and tells you to stop or the bell rings, by all means, that takes precedent, but my basic instinct would be to keep wrestling. Finally, I've had a lot of people ask me again about how to get into those non-wrestling positions, manager, referee, booker, announcer, commentator, what have you. Well, like I've mentioned in past videos on this series, those jobs do not come along very easily. With managers and referees, you usually have to go to an actual wrestling school to learn how to do it well and to get booked through that. And other times with things like commentators and announcers, those positions are incredibly short supply and they fill up fast. With things like announcing and commentary, you obviously have to show you're capable of doing the main job, which is talking, but there's so much more to it than that. As has been mentioned several times in this series, to even be considered for those kinds of jobs, you have to show your worth in other ways to those promotions. Do ring crew, make posters, help out with the TV project, either doing camera or editing and post-production, run sound, flyer the town. Anything you can do to help the business. Show the promotion you want to be a part of it by being a part of it. That's the most important thing. I hope these bits of advice can help you in your quest to be involved in professional wrestling. If you have a question for a future installment of Getting Into the Biz, list them in the comment section below. Be sure to thumbs up this video if you like it, subscribe to Wrestling with Wregret, and buy the t-shirts at ProWrestlingTees.com. I'm Brian Zane, and I'll see you next time.